Hey internet, welcome back. This is Sierra, and if you're new around here, hello, my name is Sierra and I'm an American who lives in Japan. Every week I try to put up a new video about my family's life in Japan, plus being vegan and trying to live a little bit more sustainably. So as you guys can tell by the title, we are going to be doing something kind of in this sustainability slash vegan realm today. Today we're going to do a little experiment and we're going to try to make honey. Yes, I know those of you guys who clicked on this video are like, wait a second, Sierra, you're vegan. Vegans don't use honey. And you'd be right. If you guys don't know, my family of three, we are all vegan, and so we don't use animals for entertainment or for food or for clothing or really in any way except for to look at them outside doing their thing in nature. Anyway, a couple of years ago I heard of something called bee-free honey and I was really confused about it, but apparently bee-free honey is basically any kind of honey that is made without using bees. And I know there is actually a products called bee-free honey on the market that I've never tried before, but apparently it's a thing and it's supposed to take like real honey. So on my challenge today, we are going to try to make some honey together, and it may or may not be an absolute total disaster. In full disclosure and confession, I actually did film all of this creation footage yesterday and the day before in my kitchen, so it is a couple of days later, but I haven't tried it yet. So I'm going to show you guys the recipe first, and then after that we're going to come back together. We're going to do a little taste test slash recipe suggestion. Is that cool? Okay, let's get to the recipe. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to make dandelion honey is a lot of dandelions. But for this recipe, you only want the flower parts or the buds of the dandelions. When we came back from the park, this basket was full to the top with dandelions, but I let them sit in the counter for about an hour and they all kind of started to shrivel. But that's okay, you're just going to push them in and squish them down anyway. I looked at a handful of recipes and the one I decided to use, which is in the description, required 2 cups compacted. Next, you're going to take a pot and put it on the stove. I think it's a 2-quart pot here. And then you're going to fill it with 1.5 cups of water. Your next step is to add your dandelion blossoms. I know it looks like a lot right now, but trust me, they will cook down. And then once your dandelion blossoms in your pot, you're going to top them with 2 slices of lemon, according to the recipe. I used 3 because the only lemon I could find was really tiny. Then you're going to give it a quick stir and turn the stove on and bring it up to a boil. Once you bring your pot up to temperature, you're going to turn it back down and let it simmer with the lid on for about 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, this is what my dandelions and lemon looked like. I don't actually know if it was necessary, but I decided to give it a good stir and then I let it sit overnight. It's important to let it sit overnight because making dandelion honey is kind of like making tea. The longer you let tea leaves set, the stronger they will get. So the longer you let this set, the more nectar and flavor will come out of the dandelions and the lemon. The next day, once everything is cool, you're going to want to strain your dandelions and lemons. Since I had one in hand, I just used a nut milk bag here, but you can use anything that's fine enough to separate the liquid from the dandelions and lemons. And then your next step from here is going to be to squeeze out as much of the liquid as possible. The more liquid you can get, the more honey you can make. And now it's time to get back to the stove again. You're going to take your liquid that you just strained out and put it back in your pot, and then you're going to add the same amount by weight of sugar. When I measured out my liquid, I had about 320 grams, so I'm adding 320 grams of sugar here. I decided to use a raw natural sugar because that's what I usually have around my house, but I'm sure any granulated sugar would be fine. Next, I brought my liquid back up to a boil and then turned it down to a simmer for about 20 minutes. However, I don't necessarily recommend this because my final product was a little bit thicker than I wanted. According to the recipe, the easiest way to check and see that your liquid is the consistency that you want is to take a plate that you had in the freezer and put your hot honey on it and then wait a few minutes and see if the consistency is the way that you would want it to be. However, that was kind of my downfall. If I were to do this again, I would only boil my liquid for about 15 minutes because once it got to room temperature, it was about twice as thick as it was when I finished boiling it. So we're back now. As I already said, I did make this recipe a couple of days ago and I have it just kind of sitting in this mason jar here. But as I said, I have not actually tasted the honey yet because I wanted to wait and do that on camera because I wanted you guys to see my first reaction. So before we go ahead and taste test this, the last thing I do want to say is that it has been a few years since I've had real honey. Although growing up, I did eat a lot of honey in my life, so I'm pretty sure I still know what it tastes like, but just to throw it out there, my initial reaction, whether or not I say it tastes real, might be a little bit skewed, if that makes sense. I went to the supermarket today and I took a little bit of footage of the honey that's in the supermarket aisle, and it turns out that honey can come in all different colors, all different flavors, which I guess I kind of knew that, but I never really paid attention to it before. The reason I did that is because I was worried that my honey was kind of too dark in comparison to the honey in the supermarkets, but actually looking at it now, it's pretty close in color to the unfiltered honeys that I saw in the supermarket. I think that one of the reasons that my honey is slightly darker than the honey that you see in the supermarkets is because I used a natural sugar in it, and the ones in the supermarkets are obviously just made like from the flowers and from like the bee vomit, for lack of a better term. So I think that if you made this with a lighter color, or like a white sugar, or a just like organic not raw sugar, it might have a slightly different color background, I don't know. But anyways, let's get to tasting this honey. First look, this is what my honey looks like. It's a bit thick. As I said in the video, I did end up simmering this for 20 minutes on the stove. Based on what it looks like right now, I think best practices would probably be to simmer it for about maybe 15 minutes instead of 20 minutes, but it wasn't really thickening up. But now looking at it, I kind of know why. So my honey, I think, is a little bit thicker than it should be. Do you guys see that? Let me give you another. Ooh, it smells really good though. I mean, it smells like honey from what I remember honey smells like. Although, to be completely honest, I have lived in colder climates throughout my life, and sometimes in the wintertime the honey is this texture. So should I just do this the entire video? Would this be like one of those things people would watch? I don't know. One more time. Ooh, okay. So yeah, I'm really happy with the color actually. Looking at it, when you hold it up into the light, it's a lot lighter than it actually is in the jar. So I'm gonna guess it's closer in color to like the raw natural honeys that you can get in the supermarket. Okay, so now we're gonna give it a little taste test. Growing up, we used to eat honey a lot of different ways. You would put it on cereal or on English muffins. My favorite way to eat honey was on bread with peanut butter, but right now we're out of bread, so we're gonna use a rice cake instead. But before we get to do that, let's just taste the honey as is, because it looks like it's gonna be pretty delicious. All right, so this is about how much I'm gonna taste. I just wanna kind of give it a good flavor taste to my mouth before I go to put it with some peanut butter. Okay, so I think I kind of gave myself away a little bit with all my and umming while I was taste testing it, but I'm gonna say that I don't think this tastes necessarily like your classic honey. Like when I think of the flavor of classic honey, I think of like the cheap kind, the clover honey that you can get in a lot of supermarkets. But thinking back, before I was vegan, I went to this honey tasting thing. I think it was at a Run Fest or something, and we tried all different kinds of honey, and we had like clover honey, rosemary honey, all these other different kinds of fruit tree type honey. And if I'm being completely honest, I think that it tastes like honey, but it doesn't taste like a standard honey. If you've ever tried a rosemary honey, when you eat the honey, it kind of has like a little bit of a like hint of rosemary flavor. That's kind of what this has for dandelions, but it's actually really good. It's not like that weird dandelion flavor. Like when you were a kid, did you ever touch a dandelion and then accidentally put your fingers in your mouth? Yeah, that's not what this tastes like. I mean, it has a little bit of like the dandelion-ness to it, but it's not like in a gross way, if that makes sense. Anyway, so now we're going to try it on a rice cake with some peanut butter, because why not? Okay, oh gosh. Guys, I just made a massive mess in my kitchen. It's fine, it's fine. I'll clean it up. It's fine. It's fine. Guys, this tastes like my childhood. It is so good. Okay, so before I make any more inappropriate noises, I need to go, especially because I am covered in peanut butter and covered in honey, as is my face and my shirt, and I need to do something about that. So all that being said, that is all I have to say for now. If you guys like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe so you guys will know when I create more content. If this is the kind of video that you guys like, especially because I'm stuck at home doing a lot of nothing, please let me know what kind of at-home videos you guys would want to see from me and my family. And other than that, I'm all set. If you guys do want to try out this recipe, please make sure to look in the description section. I'll leave the link to the original recipe that I used, and I'll write in the description box also all the little changes that I made. Other than that, I hope you guys have a really great day. And if you guys try this honey, please let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!